let's go through the captaincy situation, because we've sat on this for 24 hours, and now that the trade period is over, and now that we've seen a number of disgruntled captains, Simpkin, Merritt, Oscar, Allen, Steele, I think it's a good opportunity to do a temperature check on who should be leading your club, who cannot be, who is in a position where that is untenable, like North Melbourne and Jai Simpkin, and who's next. I think it's pretty important. So what most clubs will do is, I mean, some have obvious captains that will not change and they'll be absolutely locked in. But what most clubs will do if there's even a thought about changing captains is come back to pre-season training, set the values of your club.
Have a look.
And then at some point in 2026, probably around mid-January, late January, they will have a vote on who best represents the club's values from an individual point of view. They'll collate those players' votes, and then it will go to the coaching panel, who will either tick it off and have their input, and sometimes it might go to board level. But that's sort of the process that most clubs will go by. So the players will have a significant vote as to who should captain their footy club, and rightly so.
Is it a vote and then the club just decides anyway, or is it a vote and the club adhere to it? Like, what if the vote spits out a result that the hierarchy don't expect and aren't necessarily happy with? Do they then say, oh no, the player vote said player X instead, or do they just make it known they've come over the top, do you reckon?
I think most clubs would take into account the player vote significantly. Others might only use maybe a 50% weighting to that vote, and they will take the other 50%. So each club will do it differently, but it would be unusual for a team not to have significant input from the teammates.
All right, let's start with Adelaide then. We'll go alphabetical order. I would have thought no change there, given Jordan Dawson's career reached new heights in 2025.
Yeah, no change for Adelaide. Jordan Dawson is an exceptional leader. In fact, one of the better captains in the league now, and could have easily been the All-Australian captain. So definitely no change there. He's 28, so can do this job for 4 or 5 more years. I think they would want to start to fast-track some others underneath him. I'm not sure who the obvious candidate underneath Jordan Dawson would be. I'm not sure of the leadership capabilities of someone like a Jake Saligo, but I think you would want to fast-track the next generation of leader underneath Jordan Dawson coming through. Riley Thilthorpe, maybe, but he seems a little bit immature and still has some work to do, I think, before he's even in the mix to be spoken like that. So their leadership group will be interesting, but Jordan Dawson, he would be a top 5 captain in the league for me, and there's no need to change at Adelaide.
Brisbane have had the co-captaincy model for a couple of seasons now, and a spectacular couple of seasons as well, with Lachie Neale and Harris Andrews for the back-to-back premier. Now, you would think no change, and there might well not be any change. I just heard a whisper, and it is only a whisper, unverified, unsubstantiated, that they might change the model, that either one comes out and they go with one, or one is replaced and they remain with the co-captain. So looking at the demographic of both players, I'd assume if there is someone to step aside, it might be Lachie Neale for 2026, but we'll see where that one goes.
Hard to change it when it's worked so well, but Andrews has emerged as just a generational leader, I think, of that footy club. And the model's been terrific. I don't generally like more than one captain and multiple captains. It has worked at different clubs. Sydney, a good example of that, and now Brisbane, spectacular success that it has been. But Harris Andrews just appears to be the big signature leader of that footy club. And I think at some point he deserves the opportunity to lead the club in his own right. I doubt whether they'll change it after winning another premiership, but equally it wouldn't surprise me if Harris Andrews was the sole skipper of Brisbane.
Yep. And then there's, speaking of whispers, Carlton, and we've had this conversation, you and I, before, I think, around potentially Patrick Cripps himself declaring it the right time to hand over. Now, he might not. He might absolutely continue on. Sam Walsh is the name that just keeps coming up over and over again, who's got a big contract decision to make, but he's clearly, I don't know what you think, but a leader in waiting at that football club. Is now the right time for Patrick Cripps to... And I'm asking the question under the guise of lighten the burden on a player who has carried so much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but you'd want to make sure Walsh is staying. So I'd want the signature from Walsh. He's the next captain. He'll captain the footy club, absolutely. and can lead it into the next generation. Slight concerns over his body and getting himself right, so there's a burden there. Is that going to be too much for him, trying to get his body right as well as captain the footy club, who is a little bit on its knees, the Blues, to be fair. I don't think that's an overreach to say that Carlton right now are in a really challenging spot from a cultural point of view, and a changing of the guard, question marks over the coach and his long-time tenure, so whether that would be too much. So I think play it safe, Cripps for one more year, get Walsh to commit long-term, and this time next year is probably the right time to hand it over under Michael Voss, or even perhaps a new coach if things don't work out the way that they want it to.
At Collingwood, it's only a matter of time, I would have thought, before Nick Dacos takes the captaincy.
Yes.
Is it this coming year, though?
Is it this coming year? That's a big call. I don't think the safe thing will be to go to Darcy Moore again. It's in safe hands. But do you want to play it safe, or do you want to have a fraction more flair?
You say safe, but you've been critical of Darcy for
portions. Yeah, he's on field. He's too easy to play against, to be brutally honest. And he has some good games, like the final against Adelaide. Unbelievable games, but far too often he's just exposed. And now they play their defensive system slightly different, and they give him excuses for that. And they will say that, well, we don't have direct matchups with our defensive system, but that's fine. But when you have to defend one-on-one, you have to defend one-on-one, and far too often he gets bags of goals kicked on him. So I would make the change. I get the thought that they'll play it a bit more safe and go with Darcy again.
Yep, he was immense in that qualifying final, as you say. Now, at Essendon, James Hurd says Zach Merritt can absolutely remain as captain, provided he comes back with the right attitude and everything's ticked off over the course of the pre-season. Where do you sit with that? And if it isn't to be him, then who is it to be?
It won't be Merritt. Can't be Merritt, and shouldn't be Merritt. You can't have the captain of your footy club trying to burn the place down, which is essentially what he was trying to do. So Andy McGrath is the obvious choice for 1 or 2 years. He speaks so well, and his form at the back end of last year was pretty good through the midfield. And they'll fast track Caldwell and Durham, and that's what they are going to do. So they'll put some processes in place to really fast track the next generation of leader. Nate Caddy underneath that, he's too young now, but you start getting him into the development phase of his leadership and explore what's there. But Durham is the obvious one for me in a couple of years, and Caldwell's not too far behind him. So they're in a pretty good space with a couple of young, really ferocious, excellent leaders coming through who give it their all each and every time they pull on the jumper.
Out west at the Guts Up Fremantle Dockers. No, like Alex Pearce missed a few games this year, but you wouldn't. Is there a need to change there?
Don't think so.
There's candidates though.
He's impressive. I was surprised when he was named captain. I was like, had to be Sarong or Brayshaw, but they love him, and he's really impressed me, Alex Pearce. So no, there won't be a change there. But once again, they're in good hands. Sarong and Brayshaw are young. Both of them are young. Probably be Sarong's team. Well, it is now in a way. In a couple of years, I'd be surprised if he's not captain, but Pearce for 1 or 2 more years.
What about down at Geelong, who have had Patrick Dangerfield obviously inherit the captaincy from Joel Selwood? I'm fascinated by the options, or maybe the lack thereof, underneath him. Tom Stewart could do it, but there's not a lot of obvious candidates in the sweet spot of their career. And Paddy Dangerfield, as we know, is far closer to the end than the beginning. And you'd like, in an ideal world, would you not, to have him hand over the captaincy while he's still there, or maybe no need for that?
Yeah, I would have thought it's time now. I mean, he's still going to be the influential leader that he is, Dangerfield, but at 36, 37, with the role that he plays, I doubt whether they'll play him every week, and they're going to have to manage his body. So that's not ideal for a captain. You want them out there on the road most weeks. But you're right. Who is it? 0433 98 11 16 Cats fans. I don't see an obvious one. Jeremy Cameron, the All-Australian
You gave
captain.
us the answer, Jezza.
Yeah, why not?
So Jezza just takes over. Simple
Why
as
not?
that. Well, exactly. I
Plays
mean,
like-
he gave a few reasons as to why not on the
Plays
night.
like a captain to me.
But but now that he's the All-Australian captain, I mean, gee whiz, it'd almost be a step down to be captaining Geelong.
Yeah, no, they've got some work. They've got some work to do, I think, Geelong, in terms of identifying the succession plan for the next captain of that footy club. Maybe it's Max Holmes. He doesn't appear like a natural leader to me. I mean, Atkins could probably do it, but yeah, long term, I'm not sure what the answer will be there.
One more before we break, maybe, as we work our way through. The Gold Coast Suns, we're not changing that anytime soon,
We're not changing that. That was an excellent decision, one that I questioned at the time. Like, how can you take it off Tuke Miller, who's one of the most impressive leaders that we've got in the game? But that was the right time, and what a great decision that was. And Noah Anderson was just unbelievable accepting that responsibility. And I reckon that's a bit of a lesson to other clubs. Like, if you think, we'll get to North Melbourne shortly, if you think someone's too young, well, are they? Noah Anderson handled it pretty well. So, yeah, that was a great call from Damien Hardwick and the Suns.
I don't know if it's my last year as captain. I think, yeah, it could be. I'll wait and see. If I've got a couple of kids that might, I'll happily give it to Tom Green or Connor Iden or Jack Buckley, who wants to step up and do it. But we've got a lot of great young leaders at the club, and there's a number of boys that could easily do it.
That was Toby Green on the AFL website yesterday. Is it potentially time for a different shade of green at the Orange team, Kane?
I thought so. I said that on the agenda setters maybe halfway through the year that it would be a good time to release the burden from Toby Green. And we had Tom Green mic'd up for Channel 7. I was impressed whether he was just putting it on for the mics or not, which players can do from time to time. But he was really impressive. So it's in good hands. I think it'll be Tom's, like Gold Coast did with Noah Anderson. I would be okay if that was now, but it feels like Toby wants to do it for at least one more year, and what a great leader he's been of that footy club.
Breaking news, the McCafe's just dropped, so just showing
I can
you
see
that.
I can see that.
As per standard procedure.
Do you have to shout them out every day?
Look at that latte art. Of course I
beautiful.
do. Should be
Any
multiple times a day.
Cinnamon donuts?
No donut. No donut.
On the side?
I'd prefer it if you didn't even mention those words from here on out. Hawthorn, now, Aiden in Canberra's text in, I think we can make a change with our captain. Sicily's great, but he's always on the edge. Personally, Jai Newcombe could go down as one of the great Hawks, I think. And with the C next to his name, could go to another level, leading the Hawks to a flag. Thoughts, boys?
Well, for me, Will Day is the spiritual leader of Hawthorn. It's not dissimilar to Butters at Port Adelaide. If you had never watched a game of footy before and you went and watched Hawthorn with a fully fit Will Day and you said, who's the captain of this team without knowing, you would say, oh, it's Will Day.
You'd be going well to watch a fully fit Will Day, though.
I know, and that's the problem. So having said all that, James Sicily did a pretty good job in the back half of the year, to be fair. And has grown into the role pretty nicely. I mean, you don't really get the Sicily brain phase. I mean, there's a perception that Sicily often lets his team down. Well, not really, not from a discipline point of view anymore. He's actually pretty much in control. So Sicily will do it. I'd love to see Will Day, but he's got other focuses at the moment, and that is getting his body right.
And in regards to our Geelong question earlier, Steve cheekily text in, Zach Butters will be Geelong's next captain. Nice one from you, Stevie. Now, at Melbourne, they've got one of their great captains. It's Max Gawn. Logically, it would stay with him, but as the clock keeps ticking on his birth certificate, you wonder when they might look to hand it over. But again, you look down the playing list.
I got no one.
And they've lost quite a few. Anyway, not that Clayton Oliver was ever going to be captain, but who potentially takes over from Max Gawn?
Well, Viney has done it and can do it. But that's not going to solve the problem of the young ones coming through.
Well, he's 30. He's coming up on 32 now, Viney.
Yes.
So I'm talking long term.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. So Gawn does it. One of the best leaders we've ever had in the game. And an 8th All-Australian and all that. So under a new coach, I think Gawn has the ability to lead the next generation. But like Geelong, like some others, they need to fast-track a couple at Melbourne.
Yeah.
Harvey Langford in time, but he's way too young now.
All that group, though, isn't it? But Max, there's going to need to be a bridging captain there, you would think, before you get to that group. So that's a curiosity as well. North Melbourne. So Josh Simpkin, a big part of the trade period, he's made to stay. So you would think, well, they're on the record, aren't they? North Melbourne are saying he will not be captain most likely next year. So who jumps off the page to inherit?
Larkey.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Too
Nick
early
Larkey
for Harry Sheasel?
I think so. Nick Larkey for 2 years, then it's Harry's time and will be for a long, long period of time. But I'd love to see Nick Larkey. He's been loyal. He loves the club, and every time he speaks about the club, you can tell he absolutely plays with his heart and his soul.
Yeah.
He's a team-first operator. In fact, he's one of the players I admire most in the league, Nick Larkey. His performance is extraordinary in a poor team. So he deserves to be captain. What it means for Jai Simpkin, it's going to certainly be awkward. There's no doubt about that. And whether he's even in North Melbourne's best 22 by the end of the year, that remains to be seen. But yeah, good time for a change. This has fast-tracked the change for them, and Nick Larkey is perfect.
A new coach can sometimes bring on a captaincy change, but you can't see that happening at Port Adelaide, can you? Connor Rosey to continue?
Yeah, they love him. They love
straightforward
Connor Rosey there, and I think he's one of Josh Carr's favourites. Josh Carr coached him at North Adelaide. And Zach Butters, you couldn't. He would be the obvious one, but there's no way you could give it to Zach, knowing that he's going to probably leave at the end of the year. So that will stay as is. Richmond, I wouldn't mind seeing a change at Richmond. Nankervis has done a reasonable job.
I reckon he's done a good job, the big Nank.
He's done a good job.
Yeah,
I
I think that is a very youthful group. He plays, to state the obvious, a very important role in facilitating that next generation. What other, like Nick Boston could do it?
No, Taranto would. Yeah, he'll do it.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
He could, I guess.
He could easily do it.
I'd be sticking with the Nank. And then waiting for a long-term captain to emerge. But
I think Taranto could be your long-term. I mean, you can't question the effort that he plays with and the standards that he sets. And he's always around the footy. Yep. So I would probably make, people will laugh, but I'd make the change. And I think Taranto could be an excellent leader of that footy club.
Okay, all right. That surprised me. I wasn't ready for that one.
No, well, I've questioned his... the only thing I've ever questioned with Tim Taranto is his damage by foot and the fact that he turns the footy over a lot. Now, he can still be captain if you turn the footy over a whole heap. But I've always admired the way that he plays in terms of the contested nature and the way that he leads. So he could easily do it. Tigers fans, what do you reckon?
All right, 1300 736 736, the Mimosa Homes Open line. And St Kilda are committed to a change because Jack Steele had stepped down as captain and has then stepped out of the club altogether. So Cal Wilkie is the obvious one to inherit. Yeah, absolutely he is. You can't have it because he consulted with the Dogs.
No, I can't. I can't have it as he's shopping himself around in the off-season speaking to rival coaches. I can't.
Okay. So
how's that any different to Simpkin?
It's very different.
Why?
Simpkin had absolutely committed to wanting to leave and had told the club as much, whereas Cal Wilkie never did any of the sort. There's a big difference.
He clearly considered leaving.
He considered it, but he wasn't committed to leaving. He just did what I reckon another maybe 100 players would have done that we didn't know about. Throughout the year.
Wilkie's lost me on that. I don't think
you're very old school on this.
I'm not sure.
So by virtue of the fact he spoke to Luke Beveridge a couple of times, he wouldn't be committed appropriately next year at St Kilda, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's unusual.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Very unusual to have a potential captain of your footy club going and shopping themselves around, speaking to rival coaches in the off-season. It is unusual.
You were aware of the multiple captains who either left or wanted to leave their clubs in this
and now they're not captains anymore, are they? None of them.
Yeah,
none of them are captains
what
anymore.
I'm saying is, well, you're never going to take your captaincy from one club and take it to another club. So that goes without saying.
No, this is the whole point. Merritt can't be captain for the exact same reason.
Well, that's
Wilkie.
very different. He put in a trade
Simpkins
request. He put in a trade request, and he absolutely was committed to going to Hawthorn. We saw that. This is different.
Wilkie has tried to milk the club to force them into paying him more. And it has not been a team first actions that befit a captain. So, no, not for me.
Okay, Sydney. Callum Mills sits in the leadership chair there. Could it be Isaac Heaney?
I think it could be Errol Goulden for me. I think Errol Goulden. That's it. I was hoping you'd have that ready to go. I think he looks every bit a captain.
Okay.
To me, he's always played. He's so young, Errol Goulden, but you've always seemed like he's sort of 25, 26, but he's not. Would be an excellent captain, I reckon. That's the way that I'd go.
All right, over at West Coast, Liam Duggan has, obviously Oscar Allen's departed.
Yeah, Liam Baker.
Yep, a few texts came through on Baker before. Who
pretty simple.
Yep.
Simple for me.
And at the Western Bulldogs, the newly married Marcus Bontempelli.
Yeah, no, we'll leave it in the capable hands of Bont, I think.
I think that's a wise choice as well.